She runs the house, let's be honest. I love that. I am a middle child. Particularly fun times. I feel like I think of this more as like Gilmore Girls. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. We're starting a new reading vlog today, and it is going to be mostly containing my July TBR books, and I am so excited to announce that I'm officially at the beach, and I am reading Beach Read by Emily Henry. It is quite like a gloomy, overcast day, but it's like actually a perfect beach day because it's really not that hot, and I didn't plan on like getting in a swimsuit or anything anyways, so I just have my little towel, I have some drinks, I have a little snack, and I'm gonna read my book Beach Read. So far this is not what I was expecting. It's actually kind of like sad, which I was not anticipating the first like chapter to be more sad, but so far it is. So I'm gonna keep reading and I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. Okay, I've made it home. We're gonna sit down and read a good chunk of Beach Read now, and we're just gonna have a lovely time. Also, I feel kind of gross. Maybe I should take a shower. No, I just want to read the book. Hey guys, it's the next morning. I've already made myself a delightful little latte, and I wanted to give you guys a reading update. Also, if I look bald, it is what it is. I ended up listening to Beach Read for essentially the rest of the night until I fell asleep. I came home, read a little bit more on the couch, then I ended up taking a shower, and then I came back on the couch and I had some Audible credits, so I ended up getting Beach Read on Audible, and I just listened to it and colored on my iPad the rest of the night, and honestly it was so incredibly lovely. Would highly recommend. I got 40% of the way through the book. Actually I got 50%, but I fell asleep through like the last 10%, so I'm gonna start at 40%. Here are my thoughts so far. This is spoiler free, if that wasn't obvious. This is way more of a character study than I guess I was initially thinking. I mean, I knew it was gonna be a character study, but it dives into some really heavy topics and some really heavy emotional stuff, but in a very palatable and sensible way, in my opinion. This is only my second Emily Henry book, but so far I've just loved the way that she deals with really heavy topics, but portrays them not in like a lighthearted way, because it's not trying to make light of the situation at all. It's just trying to like present it in a way that's not gonna like make you depressed, if that makes sense. Come here. If you're that pissy, you need to come here. Okay, I'm coming to get you. This is Princess Mia. She's quite opinionated. And yes, I named her after Princess Diaries because that's my favorite movie of all time. And every time that she starts growling and gets like a little pissy, you know, I just think of in the second Princess Diaries when they're like, Princess Mia, or whatever her name is, has to go potty. I know it wasn't Princess Mia, it was like one of the little girls, but that's what I think of. Oh, I love you so much, you little baby girl. Yeah, she runs the house, let's be honest. As someone who struggles with depression personally, I can easily get into a specific kind of mood or a slump, like a mental slump, not a book slump, but like a mental slump after I read something that's really heavy. And I think that's normal. Like, I think that's normal to kind of get like emotionally jostled by really heavy books that are meant to leave that kind of an impact on you. But I think that Emily Henry and Abby Jimenez and Ali Hazelwood, like so many of these authors now, these incredible women authors are broaching these really heavy topics and these really tough discussions with a very compassionate but also more lighthearted discussion about it. And lighthearted discussion does not mean that they're not taking it seriously, and that doesn't mean that they're making light of the situation. It just means that they're approaching it in a way where like it's very, like I said before, it's just very palatable, and it doesn't, when you stop reading it, you don't necessarily feel bad. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. But so many books, like a Kristen Hanna book, for example, incredible, amazing, like one of my top favorite authors. But after I read her books, sometimes I need to like just take a moment and read something that has like, that's only fluff. You know what I mean? And that would be like Elsie Silver for me, or who wrote Lost and Lassoed, that whole series, Wild and Wrangled, Lila Sage. Like that would be the type of book I would want to reach for after reading something like a Kristen Hanna book, just because I need something to physically and mentally take me out of what I just read. But when I read an Emily Henry and Ellie Hazelwood and Abby Jimenez, I get the emotional depth that I'm looking for without the emotional turmoil afterwards. And I love that. I love that. I'm gonna continue reading this, and my goal is to finish this today. I would really like to conquer that. I'm currently starting at chapter 14. So we have a good chunk of the book, you know, finished, but also left. And yeah, we're just gonna sit ourselves down, read this book. I may continue listening to the audio. It depends how antsy I get and how much I feel like I need to move around. So we're gonna, yeah, I'm just gonna continue reading. Still trying to gather my thoughts on this because I feel like it was not the book I was expecting. I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. I'm currently sitting at a 4-star rating for it, but I could see myself changing that actually in the future to potentially a little bit lower, which I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting that. I think I just feel like this book is a little bit too maybe cliche. Like I thought it was going to be a little bit different. I mean, it was okay. It just wasn't, I was expecting to be blown away, and I don't really feel like I was blown away, and maybe that was just like a case of my expectations were like too high for the book. The things I did really like about it, I loved it was set in the Midwest, but it was still like a beach read. I really liked how both of the characters had things they were going through, and they were trying to like parse through them in a thoughtful way. I didn't love Gus. And I think maybe that's why I'm not like obsessed with this book, is that Gus was not my favorite male character. Actually, both of the characters were not like the most likable in a sense. And I think that that's okay. They were both going through things that were really, really difficult. But I think some of the ways that they handled them were they were very real. And I think a lot of people would have handled them the exact same way that they did. But that didn't make for the most likable characters, but it made for a very realistic portrayal of the human experience. And I liked that aspect of it. My expectations of this book were just that it was going to be a little bit more of like a happy beach read. And I think maybe that's why I was just a little bit underwhelmed with where the story ended up going. If you go in with the correct expectations of this being more of like a woman's fiction with the portrayal of the human experience in really difficult situations, specifically pertaining to family dynamics and marriage, I think you would really, really like this book. I sort of just like to go into books blind without a big expectation associated with it. But I think Emily Henry is like so hyped up that I just had a specific expectation of what I thought this book was, and when it didn't necessarily hit that, I was just maybe a little bit disappointed, but also like confused. But I still really liked the book. I think the only reason that it's not hitting as hard as I thought it was gonna hit was just my own expectations about the book. I think we're gonna kind of switch focus to reading Silver Elite. I did start the book a little bit yesterday, but I'm only like 2 chapters in, I think. So I think I'm gonna kind of switch gears and do a fantasy book. Well, it's technically like a romance dystopian. So we're gonna put this one back on the shelf and continue our reading journey with Silver Elite. We got a new couch. Yay! I'm so happy with it. It's so cozy, and this is totally gonna be my new reading spot for the foreseeable future. So lots more footage to come on this comfy couch. I finished Silver Elite. I basically need to do an entire recap on how I felt about this book. I ended up listening to a ton of this on audio, and I took my time with it. I only listened to it at 1.5 speed, and I mostly listened to it when I was going to and from work, and then I finished it yesterday morning. I thoroughly enjoyed the audiobook, so if you're looking for a good like dystopian romance audiobook, I would highly recommend Silver Elite by Dani Francis. I thought the voice actor did an amazing job, and she really kept me engaged the whole time. I also feel like this book is a really good book to do an audiobook with because of the fact that there's not a ton of characters all introduced at one time. There's characters introduced, but they all have familiar names. They're not like weird made-up names that are in a lot of fantasy books. I really liked the beginning of this book, and I really liked the ending of this book. I think the middle fell a little bit flat for me just because of the romance, to be honest. I didn't love the romance that occurred between our main characters, like the male and female characters. I just thought it was a little bit insta-lust. I felt like they had a physical attraction to one another, but there was like no emotional connection to each other until much later in the book. Like it's more like, oh, I think you're cute, let's just enjoy ourselves for a little bit, and then they end up growing attracted to one another. That being said, I really liked where the romance went at the end of the book. I feel like I should have saw it coming. There's like a big twist that happens at the end, and I feel like I should have saw it coming, but I didn't. And I'm okay with that because I was shocked, and I love being shocked. The other thing I really liked about this book in particular was the found family. I feel like in this time of our lives, especially in the US, where there's so much hate between different groups of people who see differently than you do, I thought this book did a really great job of piecing that apart, but also diving deeper into like why people potentially have disagreements and why they do things the way that they do. Essentially in this book we have two groups of people. One group are the mods, and then the other group are just like the normal people, and the mods are modified, and essentially they have special-ish powers because of something that happened in the past, and then the people who don't have the powers are just kind of like your normal people. Essentially. In the past, the modifieds did kind of rule and take charge. There was like, you know, they were kind of like the president of the whole area, but then there was like a revolution and the normal people ended up taking over, and then they essentially went into like a mass genocide of killing all of the modifieds and putting them in labor camps. It was very World War II-esque, and I personally really liked that. I thought that was very like thought-provoking, because it was set in like this future setting, but it was essentially us reliving a horrific thing that happened in the past. Does that make sense? It was like connecting those two worlds together, which I thought was, yeah, just very thought-provoking, and also like scarily realistic with where our world is right now. So that's kind of like how the book is set up, and then essentially our main character, she ends up going into the normal people's military academy, and she is hiding the fact that she's modified. She has always perceived the normal people as like these horrific people who just like, who think she's weird and who think her gifts are poisonous and all of that. And so her whole life she's basically thought of them as horrible people that should not be trusted, and people she has to hide from because they think she's different. But as she goes through the military academy, she really starts to understand the opposite side of why the people who are not modified feel the way that they do. And a lot of it is fear, obviously. I mean, they're afraid of these modified people essentially using their powers for evil instead of for good, and against the group of people that don't have these powers, instead of like, you know, using it for the good of all of the people in the community, whether you're modified or unmodified. And I just thought that was so applicable to today's society, because so much of the way that we treat one another is because of fear. There's so much fear happening in terms of people who are different than us, like just because a person looks different than us, or just because maybe they worship a different sector of religion, or they live in a different part of the country, or they live in a different country point blank. Like, there's so much fear just because of the unknown, and because we're not communicating with one another and experiencing one another's lives. And I thought that this book did a fantastic job of portraying that feeling in real time. So we're essentially feeling that with the character. Like, we're almost meant to fear the normal people just like the modified people are, because we're in our main character's perspective. But it's very interesting to kind of go through the entire book and develop relationships with the unmodified people and see that they're just people. Like, these people are just people, and they grew up being fed specific information that caused them to see the world in the way that they do, but that doesn't mean they're a bad person. And I really liked how the book portrayed that. I thought it was incredibly thought-provoking, incredibly applicable to today's society, especially in the US. Like, there's just so much hate towards people or anything who is different than us, and I just really appreciated what this book did. I dove right into Broken Dove, and I do have the physical copy of this, but I was really just itching to annotate, and I don't annotate on physical books, at least not yet. I haven't found like a good system that I've wanted to kind of adopt for annotating on a physical copy, so I've been just annotating on my Kobo for this. I'm currently 25% of the way through. I listened to a lot of it on audio yesterday when I was driving to Illinois for a bridal shower, and then I also read and was annotating prior to listening to the audiobook. So far I'm really liking this, and I was just thinking about all of the series that I've been reading and how I'm typically not someone that loves the second book in a series, because I personally love the world building aspects of reading, and I feel like a lot of that happens in the first book. And what I mean by world building is like the introduction to the world, but also like the introduction to the characters. So I guess it's not totally world building, but like I love learning about a whole new world and setting and all that kind of stuff. And I find sometimes when I'm already in the world that I get a little bit bored occasionally, and I feel like that usually happens to me in the second book. But I'm really trying to change that, and I'm really trying to appreciate second books for what they are in a series, because I feel like so many times we just kind of brush over the middle books in series and we jump from the beginning to the end and we're like, oh my gosh, that was so great, but the middle was kind of boring, you know? But like the reason that the middle had to take place was so we could have that reaction to the end. So I'm just trying to appreciate, I'm trying to appreciate the middle a little more. I am a middle child, so I feel like I need to appreciate middle children more. So I have been annotating on this. So far, our main two characters are physically not together as much in this book as they are in the first book, but they're still communicating together, which I like. I like that they're not just separated and we're not getting like any kind of relationship building between the FMC and MMC. We're in two separate regions, and I like the world building that's happening in each one of those areas. So that's where I am in this book. I did also start the Daisy Chain Flower Shop, which is the Lori Gilmore book. I do have that book physically, but I also have a Kindle Scribe, and I have not used my Kindle Scribe in the way that I was anticipating me using it. Like, I was anticipating me using it more for annotating and stuff like that, and I just have not been using it for that. But it's the perfect device to also try it. So I wanted to pull it out and just prioritize using it a little bit more. This is not the color soft version of the Scribe. This is like the first generation one that came out. I traded in one of my old Kindles for this, so I got some like money taken off of it. But yeah, I also feel like I want to give a good kind of detailed description of all of the e-readers that I've tried, because I have tried a lot of e-readers, and I have 4 right now that I kind of rotate through regularly. Broken Dove. I read most of this on audio, and one thing I am learning about myself is that audiobooks, while I love them in the moment and I really enjoy consuming books through audio, they just don't stick in my head very long. Because when I was listening to this book, I was like, this is a 5-star read. Okay, this is, I was eating up every single second of it. And now, like a week later, when I come to update you guys, I'm like, I don't remember anything that happened. I don't even remember the ending. I know the ending was like a huge cliffhanger, and I literally can't remember it. So I had to give myself a little updated synopsis and remind myself what happened, and now I remember everything, and I remember how I felt and all that kind of stuff. Things I loved about this book: the love triangle. Absolutely did not see that coming at all. I was like secretly hoping for it, but I did not see it coming whatsoever, and I ate up every single second of it. At the same time, it's also heartbreaking. Holy crap, it like stirred up emotions in me that I was not expecting to have those emotions. Wow, that's not cute. Hold on. My bangs are just doing something not cute. My favorite thing about this book was definitely the world building. There was a lot of it happening, and I feel like if you don't like second books that are all about world building, you probably won't love this book. However, I am normally in that camp and I loved it. I loved the world building. I loved the connecting that we got between multiple characters, and it's almost like an entirely new set of characters because of what happens at the end of Silver Elite. So I really enjoyed essentially learning a whole new world, but in the same realm as what we had in Silver Elite. So personally, I really, really liked that. I didn't think it was boring. It wasn't like we were just, I use this analogy a lot, but I feel like the books that bore me are the ones that like have just conversations between a couple of people that we've already met and we're essentially in the same place the entire time. But because this book had an entirely new set of characters, I felt like I was just learning them again and kind of connecting pieces from the first book to the new characters and the new world. While I was reading it, I was thinking 5-star, but now I've forgotten like everything, and until I like updated, you know, refreshed my memory. I think I'm going to sit between a 4.5 and a 5 because I think if I read this book physically, I would remember it a lot better and then it would still give me those 5-star feelings. But it's between a 4.5 and a 5. It's definitely not like a hard 5, but it's between a 4.5 and a 5. So maybe 4.75. At times I felt like I enjoyed this book more than Silver Elite. Just saying. And I'm pretty sure I gave Silver Elite a 4.5. So I think a 4.75 would be good for this book. I am still reading the Daisy Chain Flower Shop. I think I am almost like 30% of the way through. 25. I'm 25% of the way through. So far I'm enjoying it. It's just like a fun, not serious whatsoever romance book, and it's very much a, like, this is not a magical piece of writing by any means, but it's just a fun, giggly time. I wouldn't compare the writing style necessarily to Elsie Silver, even though hers are like a giggly, fun, kickly fun times. It's just like a different type of small town, fun, not serious writing, if that makes sense. I feel like I think of this more as like Gilmore Girls, maybe with like a little bit less seriousness to it. Like there's not as much emotional depth that I think Gilmore Girls provides for a lot of people. This I don't think necessarily has it, at least 25% of the way through. I'm still really enjoying it, and I would recommend this book so far if you want just like a palate cleanser, easy book to fly through. I mean, I'll probably finish this book today. I am soft DNFing the Daisy Chain Flower Shop for the moment. I'm halfway through and I easily could pick this up at any point and continue reading it, but I am not feeling this book right now. Like, it was really cute in the first quarter of the book, and then I just kind of got bored. So I'm gonna soft DNF this for now. I'm definitely not taking like my bookmark out or anything, because I think if I return to it, I'll probably start off right where I left off. I kind of remember everything that's happened, so I'm not concerned about that. But yeah, we're soft DNFing this. For my July TBR, I read 4 books. I didn't read 2. And then I'm soft DNFing this one. So overall, pretty good success. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you've read any of these books before or if you're interested in reading them. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!